Hey there, beautiful human being. Welcome back to the Ryan Magic Show. Thank you so much for joining this podcast. I love running this podcast, and you engaging in it makes my dream a reality, and I appreciate you so much. And so in this episode, I'm going to be dropping a bunch of wisdom, really deep wisdom, not just covering surface basics, but everything that I perceive you need to know on how to create financial freedom. I'm going to be talking about how I created financial freedom, like how I have my investments produce more income than passively than what my expenses are each year. So technically, if I didn't want to work, I wouldn't have to. I'm going to talk about that, but I'm also going to be talking about how you can create financial freedom in 5 steps. And I know this is a saucy topic, but trust me when I say there'll be some depth to what I cover in this episode. Let's just take a little spruik time. So spruik is me promoting, and I want to promote my Art of Courage workshop. This workshop is literally your ticket to understanding how to overcome fear, which is the only thing that blocks you from every area of life that's meaningful. Business growth is based on your capacity to overcome fears and take big action. Your relationships is based on your capacity to be courageous emotionally and be vulnerable. That's what determines that. You've got the courage to let go, and that determines your spiritual journey, your capacity to let go and let God. Your emotional journey, your healing journey is based on your courage to feel. And your entire authentic expression on this planet is based on your courage to express and be yourself, which takes so much courage because it's so scary to actually be ourselves in light of potential social judgment. So everything comes back down to fear, being the block. It cages us. And when we have the capacity to be courageous, we have the capacity to create whatever is meaningful for us in the world. And I want to give you that gift over 3 12-hour days in this, my signature workshop, The Art of Courage. If you want to find out more about it, you feel the call, you're ready to claim your life fully and live your most fulfilling, vibrant life, making your purpose a reality, making your dreams a reality. How do you actually create financial freedom, but also have a deep connection to spirit? Well, that's what I talk about. It's an integrative workshop that's facilitated by facilitating a bunch of experiences. I teach really powerful integrative theory and then give a small handful of practices that will set you up for the rest of your life to be the leader of your life and know how to navigate the personal development landscape without allowing yourself to kind of get swept up in this idea and that thought leader and this person. You'll understand how the entire landscape works and how life works. Big calls, but that is what the Art of Courage is. So ryanmagic.com if you want to find out more about it. But if you're just ready to jump in, send me an email, ryan@ryanmagic.com. Reach out on Instagram @theryanmagic, and I'd love to jump on, have a quick little litmus test chat. Is it right for you? Are you ready? Is it time? Yes or no? We can figure that out. It's very affordable as well. Anyway, let's get into the episode. I am going to be discussing the 5 steps to financial freedom. Okay. First and foremost, I want to celebrate myself because I've been in a situation for a while now where my investments have actually covered my expenses. The returns that I get from my investments have been bigger than what my expenses have been for a few years now. And I didn't even realize it. Meaning, I knew that I was getting that amount of money from my investment portfolio, but because I wasn't really desperately striving for the mark, I didn't really think about the fact that I don't have to work if I don't want to because I love what I do. So it didn't even cross my mind. It was just like, cool. And I only realized this a few weeks ago, or in the last, my time frames in my mind are always so off. Some point in the last couple of months, I was like, holy crap, I'm financially free. I didn't even realize it. I'm not even joking. That's why I've never really spoken about it online because I didn't even realize it, which is pretty weird. But anyway, jumping in. First and foremost, what is financial freedom? Well, I'm going to challenge this idea as we go through these 5 steps to financial freedom. But generally speaking, and just being like direct with it, financial freedom is when someone has their investment portfolio passively give them more money each year than what they spend on their dream life. I think that's financial freedom is when your dream life's expenses are covered by your investment portfolio. I think financial independence is when your bare minimum expenses are covered by your investment portfolio's returns. And the usual equation for this is that whatever your net worth is in your investment portfolio, if 4% of that figure ends up being larger than your expenses each year, then you're financially free. So, for example, if your dream lifestyle and it is $200,000 a year, 4%, 25 times $200,000 is $5 million. So if you had $5 million of like equity in your assets and a net worth, then you would be able to take 4% of that 5 million each year out, and that would give you $200,000 income, which you'd have to pay tax on still. But then you'd have that $200,000 income that covers your dream lifestyle. And because it's 4% and the average investment portfolio's return is between 8 and 12%, there's still, you're taking 4% off, you're not taking the full 8 to 12%. So there's enough left in there to continue to have the investment portfolio expand and cover inflation and whatnot. That's an important distinction. So the golden rule is, you want financial freedom. How much do you need to live your dream lifestyle? You need $100,000. Okay, you need 100,000. Then you need $2.5 million in investments. So if you can save $2.5 million, you're financially free. If you can live off $50,000, then you'd need $1.25 million. Okay. And so if you had $1 million, your $1 million portfolio is going to give you 40 grand a year that you can just as a general rule of thumb in a diversified average portfolio. So that's what you can aim for, which is pretty cool, to have financial freedom. Now, like I said earlier, we're going to explore, what does this term even mean, financial freedom? But I'm going to just name that first and foremost. I'm going to celebrate that because it's really cool. So I haven't achieved that standard milestone, to be clear. I haven't got my investment portfolio gives me about $83,000 a year passive return. So that's pretty awesome. And that's more than my expenses each year. So technically I don't need to work. Anyway, I just want to celebrate me for that because that's really awesome. I also want to say that I used to be making, like I make under $500,000 a year right now. I used to make over $4 million a year right now, 6-7 years ago. When I did that, I was less financially free than what I am now, even though I make less than 10% than what I used to make. Okay? And so there's a very specific reason behind this, which I'm going to explore in this episode. So I just want to pre-frame by saying that how much someone makes impacts their capacity to become financially free. It's very important, but it's not as important as someone's capacity to be smart at what they do with their money. I have lots of friends and there are heaps of people that have really solid investment portfolios, $500,000 net worth, $1 million plus net worths, that just have pretty regular jobs. They're not making several hundreds of thousands of dollars a year or millions of dollars a year in their businesses, but they've put themselves in a fantastic position. And then I know a ton of entrepreneurs that make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, millions of dollars a year, and they've got barely any net worth. I know there's way more entrepreneurs that I know that make several millions of dollars, several hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in their businesses that have less than a few $100,000 net worth. There's way more of those people that have less than a few $100,000 net worth than those that have more than a few $100,000 net worth. So most people, in my experience, my observation, especially younger entrepreneurs that make heaps of money, and you'll see their six-figure posts, six-figure business, seven-figure freedom lifestyle, all this stuff, actually don't have much money. Even though they're making heaps, they struggle to keep it. And we're going to talk about why in this episode. And I really want this episode to create a super sturdy foundational direction for you to set yourself up for the rest of your life. So let's go through these 5 steps to financial freedom. And there will be some overlap in them, but we're going to go through them step by step. The first one is that to get to that point, the first golden rule is that you need to spend less money than what you actually make. This is the boring but most important one from a strategy perspective. But the 5th point that I go through would probably be the most important one. So spend less money than what you make. Spend less money than what you make. You're making 35 grand a year, spend less than that. You're making 500 grand a year, spend less than that. So whatever you net each year after tax, you got to spend less money than that. And if you're like, but I can't because my expenses, cut your expenses. Get over it. This is where the overlap is going to be into other points. But the general rule of thumb, which is so obvious. So why do so many people live paycheck to paycheck? Because they live beyond their means. Why would someone live beyond their means? Because it causes a lot of living paycheck to paycheck sounds stressful. Actually, haven't really done that much in my entire life. Lived paycheck to paycheck. Most of my life, I've been fine financially. And I haven't been very smart with my money until the last probably 3 to 5 years. And it's been escalating in terms of my approach is getting significantly more powerful over time. But just spend less than what you make. I'm going to keep saying it. You're just like, oh, duh, give me some more exciting information than that, Brian. Well, this is step 1. We've got more, but don't learn to try to run before you can walk. Are you spending less than you're making? Are you saving money? And if you have to adjust your lifestyle to be able to spend less money than what you make. And most people don't. Most people, this is why so much of the country, of Western countries, the people that live in Western countries are in debt. Most people, so many people are living paycheck to paycheck. It's not that hard. We get the richest countries in the world, the Western world, financially. US, Canada, Norway, Sweden, Australia, aspects of, there's so much wealth out there. Why are there so many people living paycheck to paycheck? Gary Vee talks about this all the time. Stop getting stuff that you don't need that's forcing you into a trap. Joe Rogan talks about it all the time. People end up having a family, and then they've got all these cars and mortgages and car debt that they've got to pay off, and then they're stuck. Because if they don't, they're living in a situation which is beyond their means, or it's just on the edge of their means, and so they're constantly staying stuck. There's no room for choice. There's no room for possibility. So for me, my choice, because I have a choice, my choice of what I choose to spend my money on is based more about my desire for freedom than it is luxury or status. So let's just I'm transitioning to the second point here. To summarize point number one, you want to become financially free, you need to save money. You want to save money, you need to get in the habit of saving money. I heard this a million times over in the past. Didn't really care because I was like, if I know I'm going to be making millions and millions and millions of dollars, so what's the point of saving now with a measly 20 grand here, 5 grand here, $500 here? And I just had a disrespect for money because I dishonored and judged smaller amounts of money and therefore didn't get to keep smaller amounts of money. And so it's important to honor where you are and celebrate the skill of saving money, of living in a way that matches your current income situation. Pretty simple in theory, but it's a difficult trap to fall into because we have the capacity to live beyond our means so easily in Western society, in a country that's as stable as Australia is, where the financial institutions are willing to lend out money pretty easily. And so people a lot of the time end up living paycheck to paycheck and end up in debt. And I'm not talking debt like they've got a mortgage. That's smart debt for investment purposes. I'm talking about credit card debt. I'm talking about car loans and whatnot. If you can't afford to buy the car, don't buy the car. Yeah. Oh, but I need to. This is a basic normal car. Can you afford it outright? No. Well, why are you buying it? Yeah, you don't even have the money to buy it. Why are you buying it? Because everyone does it. It's a normal, unhealthy, habitual way that society operates. And so spend less money than you make. That's the foundation for all of this, because we know that financial freedom comes from hitting that. Like you figure out the number in your head right now. How much do you need income to be able to live your dream life? Cool. Times it by 25. That's your figure. So if I get my phone out here, look at this. Let's say you're like, my truth check, my heart's prayer alarm just went off. Let's say I need 80,000. Times it by 25. You need 2 million. Okay. $2 million. That's your target. It might take you 40 years to get there. Might take you 5 years. Might take you 15 years. But that's what you need to do. You need to get to that point. So spend less money than you make. Let's move on. Second one is don't waste money being insecure. Don't waste money being insecure. Don't waste money being insecure. So what do I mean by that? This is a hybrid one. This is step 2A and there'll be a step 2B and they're overlapping. But don't waste money being insecure. Don't buy things for validation. Don't buy things for validation. Now you might think, well, I don't buy any crazy flashy things. Well, let me ask you, if you had things that were slightly less flashy than what you currently do, like what's your current standard of the car that you would need to drive to feel safe from a image protection perspective? Okay, think about that. What's the bare minimum? Would you be okay driving like an $800 bomb car that was made in 1995? Yeah, it still runs, get you from A to B. It's not going to be the most reliable thing, but it'll still do the job. You spend like $800 on that car. Would you feel comfortable driving that, or would you be embarrassed if you were seen driving that around by your friends, by your family, just by society? How would you feel? How would you honestly feel? Okay. What about a $3,000 car? Yeah, pretty old, maybe like a 2005 model, cheaper hatchback or a car that's broken down, it's got lots of kilometers on it. Would you feel comfortable driving that around, or would you be embarrassed? Where's the point for you in driving that car that would make you feel embarrassed? Because It's not about you have to drive the most embarrassing thing. You have to wear the most embarrassing clothes. You have to live in the most embarrassing house in an embarrassing neighborhood, because that's all subjective. I'm not saying you should go to the lowest, but it's interesting just to see what your kind of standards are, so to speak, and what you feel comfortable in or what you'd feel insecure with. Because we all have kind of minimum standards with it. And some people need to shift theirs. I guarantee you, my level of security of myself, I'd feel more secure in a lower socioeconomic situation than most of you would, even though I probably am in a stronger financial situation than most of you, right? But I would be comfortable like bartering for something that's like, I go downstairs, I get bananas when they're on special because they're ripe, and I barter for them at the vegetable store, fruit and veg store. I request a discount. It's $2.99 a kilo. Well, I'm trying to get it for 99 cents. And all the time I do. And you might think, well, why would you do that? Well, in the past, when I was hotshot young entrepreneur, I would never do that because I'd think, oh my gosh, these people are going to think I'm poor. Whereas because I had an image to protect, I thought my self-worth came back down to my status. And therefore, I didn't have the capacity to choose what actually feels aligned. I didn't have the capacity to choose what feels aligned. So I'll give you an example. I felt like I therefore, because I had these insecurities and thought, well, I'm only going to be lovable if I'm a certain level of status and wealth. And so I attracted someone that thought like a woman. It's a beautiful woman. She's done lots of growth in this area, but someone that likes luxe stuff. And then I was felt embarrassed driving a certain car or saying, hey, I don't really feel comfortable staying in this accommodation or paying this much money for rent. So I was paying rent in like a $1,600 a week house for myself and my ex-partner. It was 4 stories. We only were ever on 1 or 2 of the stories. We only ever used 1 bedroom, and we had 3 spare bedrooms that we never used. And it was a complete waste of money. And so I spent like $80,000 a year renting this thing, and and it was my attachment to seeming like I was doing good, high status, and had the insecurity that I was going to be called out for being cheap. Or what if people saw me and thought that I didn't have much money? What if the people online saw where I lived and thought, whoa, is he even doing that well as a coach? Because I cared about my image so much. Same thing with my car. Needed to be driving a nice car. Needed my partner to be driving a nice car. Needed to be wearing certain types of clothes because I cared what people thought. That meant that I wasn't able to make aligned decisions. Be in a place that I actually feel content with. So my cars were like, let's say I had $300,000 worth of cars, okay, back in the day. And that was my bare minimum standard. Anything less than that, I felt uncomfortable about it. But then I got rid of them and I felt fine about it when I actually built greater self-worth. So I was able to make smarter financial decisions. And again, this is not about going to the cheapest option every time, but it's being able to go, what am I doing from insecurity, and what am I doing from a place of actual alignment and what feels authentic to me? And so the house, I didn't care that much where I lived, but I was paying for something that went beyond what I actually cared for because I was insecure to that degree. Now I've got a $9,000 car, which is a Volkswagen hatchback car. That's maybe like a 2010 model or something like this. I really like driving manual cars, so I made sure I got a manual, got something that I knew would be super reliable. Never had an issue with it, never broken down, had it for multiple years, super cheap on petrol, super cheap to service. It's awesome. I freaking love it. I love it. And it's just a car to get me from A to B. I could afford a Lamborghini if I really wanted it, but I ain't going to get one because it's just going to inflate my ego unnecessarily. It's not going to make the quality of my experience in life better in terms of how I feel, my experience. So I can have enough self-worth to be able to go, cars aren't that important to me, so I'm happy with this car. Now, when it comes to food and health, a little bit different. To me, it's really important. I do these postural sessions a couple of times a week, $130 a session, do 2 sessions a week, $260 I spend on that. I spend money on really good quality food, often organic, usually organic, if not grass-fed, really good quality meat, food, etc. But I'm still careful with my spending around it, but I don't sacrifice my health. That's an aligned value. I feel very aligned spending money on that stuff. Clothes, though, I remember in the past, once I went shopping at Caliber, if anyone knows Caliber, and I bought a couple of suits and some shoes and some shirts and ties and stuff. It cost me like over $3,000. And I felt so anxious doing it because I didn't actually want it, but it was just it was an insecurity purchase. Yeah, I was nervous to tell my ex-partner, hey, I don't actually care that much about it. Now, I went Black Friday shopping yesterday, 2 days ago, and I bought 3 shirts that were $20 each. And I love them. I'm super psyched about them. Went shopping at H&M. I don't care that much about my clothing brand. And I like to look neat. I like to wear stuff that feels like, yeah, that's me. I like the look of that. And I'm not going to spend money on brands or anything like this. I'm not going to allow my insecurity or fear of judgment socially make bad financial decisions. Okay. So don't waste money being insecure. And I've always said, because the topic of this is how to become financially free, the only thing that changes as you make more money is the level of lux in which you can do things. See, I can still wear clothes that if I had like $30,000 to spend a year, I could still, or $20,000, I could still wear clothes that felt aligned to me, but the level of lux would be less. I really like spending time in nature. And guess what? Spending time in nature is virtually free. Okay. So I could spend money in nature for free, or I could do a guided camping trip. I could do a camping trip. I can go stay out there and get all this equipment and stuff, and it's still pretty cheap. Or I could go and get some cheap Airbnbs, upgrade it a little bit, but still relatively affordable. Then I could start going more luxe and staying in hotels, fancy hotels in nice situations. Then I could go to luxe eco lodges, and I could go from free to $30, $50 a night to a couple $100 a night to $500 a night to $10,000 a night in a luxury eco lodge, right? All having the experience of being in nature, but the level of lux is changing with the more money that I can put into the activity. I enjoy sport, so I can watch it on the TV. I can go in and watch it, go to the sporting match, watch it live in an average seat, or I could go into like the box seats or the front row seats and pay $30,000 for the seats, or I could watch it at home on the TV for free. So it's like I can still have the experience. It's just the level of lux in which I experience it would amplify the more money I have. So people often use money as a bypassing tool to actually not need to go do the things to live their dream life. They don't actually want to live their dream life. It's self-sabotage from not feeling worth living one's dream life. So for me, I was like, I'm going to do all these amazing things when I get rich. I was already making several millions of dollars a year. I couldn't even give myself a few days off work, let alone give myself permission to go and enjoy the life that I wanted to. So I was professing that I will live this amazing life when I have all this money. But my mind was tricking me and delaying the experiences that I wanted because I didn't actually think I was worth it, but I didn't have that awareness. So don't waste money being insecure. Can you this is where the spend less money than you make, and you're like, but I'm only making 50 grand a year. How the hell am I meant to live off that? Live a little bit further away from the city. Live in a share house if you need to live in a share house. Live in a small apartment in a neighborhood that's not as luxe, right? You can still live in a great area probably with nice people around, near parklands, near shops. You could do what you need to do, but your attachments are going to be a real shot in the foot. Even if it's like, well, I love traveling and adventuring and I can't even afford to go overseas. Well, travel locally. During COVID, I went to see Uluru in Australia, which was amazing, and travel around Northern Territory and South Australia. It was incredible. I did all these trips. I went down and visited Tasmania and traveled around there a bit, traveled around country Victoria. It's incredible nature, incredible experiences. Didn't have to have an international airfare, right? And I still had the best time. My quality of my experience was phenomenal. And then there's other people on the other side of the world that are like, oh my gosh, my dream would be to go to Australia. It's too expensive though, right? We're here. We can experience it. If I'm assuming you're watching this from Australia. So don't waste money being insecure. Live within your means now and just know that. So there's another piece here that I didn't actually write on the list that goes into, oh no, I did write it down. So that was 2A, don't waste money being insecure. 2B is learn to live simply. Learn to live simply. Learn to live simply. And what that means is the things that actually create fulfillment don't cost very much. Nature, free. You're going to feel so much more connected and fulfilled in your body if you spent 5 hours in nature versus spent 5 hours going around a luxe shopping center buying stuff. Way more fulfilling. You would have a more wholesome experience with your friends at home, cooking together with a healthy, nutritious meal, and your body, your vibrancy, your energy would feel so much better. Eating wild caught kangaroo that's $13 a kilo, having this fun time making it together, and then hanging out there, not drinking, than what you would going to some fancy restaurant where the ingredients, sure, they can have some good quality base ingredients, but there's all these extra processed foods that go into the ingredients to try to make things taste good. You get desserts and like all these fancy desserts and wine and all this stuff, and you're spending a couple of $100 out, getting a taxi home then. And you spent $300, you had a excitable time for the nervous system, but it wasn't wholesomely fulfilling. And it could have been more fulfilling to be at home with friends than out there doing all this luxe stuff, right? Most things that create fulfillment are very cheap. And that doesn't mean you can't go out there and have these experiences if they're really aligned with you and authentic to you when it's time, like here and there. And the caveat to that is that if your baseline if your needs for fulfillment can be met pretty simply, it's pretty easy for you to save money. I think my expenses, I added them up, are like under $40,000 a year. My baseline expenses, less than $40,000 a year. Spend very little. Like my partner and I live in her apartment and pretty much split the cost of living here. Very small. It's a 2-bedroom apartment. It's not in the most expensive area. Still close enough to the city, maybe 20, 25 minutes to the city. I really like it here. We are going to move somewhere else, but we don't need to be somewhere else to be fulfilled. We can go for walks in the park. We can drive to nature. Still flirting with the idea of moving out there. It'll be more expensive, but we can still be fulfilled here, right? My food is my biggest expense, and movement training and stuff like that costs solid for me. And I do travel. I just bought flights to Europe next year, $1,200 return flights to Europe from Melbourne. And I'll be having an incredible time exploring Italy, going to go to Montenegro, and the whole trip will probably cost around $4,000 for me, $4,000 to have a 30-day trip in Europe. And you might go, well, how'd you do that? How would you do that? I'll make all of my own meals when I'm over there, because if I eat out too much at different places, my body and my stomach and my energy, it doesn't feel that good anyway. Oftentimes, if I catch up with friends in Melbourne and connect with people that are going to eat out, I'll just go and chill there and I will eat before I go, because I look at the menu and I'm like, nothing on this excites me. I don't want to spend $60 for a steak when I can make my own better quality steak and everything at home for like $15. It just doesn't excite me. And then have chips that were made from the restaurant in vegetable oils, which is going to be toxic for my body. I'd rather just make my own chips at home that are made with olive oil, salt and pepper, and some seasoning. That's all organic. That costs like $2. So if you can learn to live simply, you're very powerful financially, because you're not owned by the idea of what you need to have or spend money on to be socially liked by other people. And I used to care so much about this. Now I don't care at all. I do what feels aligned for me. And I still have epic experiences, really epic experiences. And this is point 2C. So point number 1 was spend less than what you make. Point number 2 is don't waste money being insecure, 2A. 2B is learn to live simply, as your baseline. And point 2C is spend the extra money on things that are actually meaningful, right? Actually meaningful. Like I said, my health, working on my posture is very meaningful for me. I want to live a long, healthy life. My posture, if I just keep letting gravity push down on my current patterns of movement and my current posture, I'm not going to be able to walk when I'm 80. It's like I look at old people's postures now, and there's some serious dysfunction going on, and the head pointing forward and this swayed back, curved back, rounded shoulders and all this stuff. They didn't even have iPhones growing up. So don't know what's going to happen to the average person of this generation, but they're going to grow up with terrible posture. That's not okay for me. I want to be able to move, get around, enjoy life, be active when I'm in my 90s. And so posture training is meaningful to me. I'm happy to spend money working with really great practitioners in that area. It's not meaningful for me to spend money on clothes, but it might be for someone else. And if that really is meaningful and you love lots of variety with your clothes and getting cool new fun things, you could still do that with brand labels because you care what people think from that. Or you could do it going op shopping, opportunity shopping or thrift shopping, whatever you call it, where you are. And you could have the same experience way cheaper. So invest in what's meaningful for you. If it's meaningful to adventure and travel, then that's in my opinion, is a great investment. I don't think you should strip back and just not spend money on what you care about. I just don't think you should spend money on what you don't care about. And I don't think you should spend money on what other people care about, because you're doing it for them, not you. That is called being held captive by money. That is not financial freedom. That's financial jail, because you're actually being owned by other people's opinions. You're not free to choose to invest in what you care about. So point number 2C is invest in what's meaningful to you. Yeah. If sports are meaningful, if personal development is meaningful to you, you can still do the experiences at the level within your means that you're at. So learn to live simply and invest in what's meaningful to you. I'm happy to spend money on things that are meaningful to me, but I ain't going to waste money on things that I don't care about. And people just are afraid of shopping at Kmart. How embarrassing. Yeah. Target. Have it driving a $3,000 car. I've got a friend that's in a very, very solid financial position, really solid net worth, that doesn't make much money, but has like nearly $1 million and drives a $4,000 car. Yeah. And he's been doing it for years. Why? Because he doesn't care what people think of him in that way. He's such a beautiful person. People love and respect his level of integrity. People love his kindness. They're not judging him based on whether he has a Ferrari or a Mercedes or a brand new Mazda or whatever it is. Who cares? Who cares? That's such a trap. Such a trap. So invest in what's meaningful to you, because this is financial freedom. This is what we're talking about. We're talking about being free. If you can't invest in things that are meaningful to you, you're not free, are you? You're trapped by the lack of finances. But if you're investing in things that don't mean much to you, you're trapped because your insecurities are costing you money. And I literally see it all the time with people spending money to get for alcohol because they're nervous of being anxious socially and they want to fit in and do what everyone else is doing. Wasting money on the car. They don't even care about cars, but subconsciously they just got a $40,000 car they don't even need. They could get away with a $10,000 car, a $5,000 car, and they're a $40,000 car. They don't even care in their heart. But in their insecurities, they do. They don't want to be judged, right? That is weakness, such weakness, and it's costly. It's costly. You want to get to financial freedom? If you care about that, you're just delaying the journey significantly, all right? All right, let's go to point number 3. This is where we're actually going to get practical with making money. Do what you love for a living. Do what you love for a living. If you want to get to financial freedom, you're going to have to earn good money. If you want to earn good money, you need to be able to sustain work. You need to be able to work hard. And the only way to work hard is to do what you love. And that's not hard work. And so what happens with so many people, they're trying to find the industry, the university degree that's going to be the one that's right, that gets them the right money. And then they're in it, and then they don't like it, and then they change. So they wasted 2 years in that degree. And then they get into some industry and they build themselves up. They go from earning 50,000 as accountant to 60, 70, 80. They're making 100,000. And then they've been in it for 15 years and they hate it. And then they're out and they've got to start in another industry and work their way up again. So if you are just choosing things for financial reasons, it's going to be unsustainable long term. You won't become phenomenal at it. You'll become excellent at it. It won't be the work of a genius. It'll just be excellence. You could get really good at it if you're really devoted to it, but you're not going to be able to sustain it long term if it doesn't light your heart on fire. However, if you look at people like David Attenborough, if I just Google right now, what's David Attenborough's net worth? I'm really curious to see this actually. David Attenborough net worth. You know when you go to click something and then by the time your finger hits it, it's readjusted the menu? All right. $15 million. $15 million. So David Attenborough has $15 million. Okay. And if I go into the calculator, 15 million times by 0.04. So he has $600,000 passively that he makes just from his net worth. So if he didn't work, he'd be able to pull $600,000 a year and just get on by with it. And then still have his investment portfolio grow and manage inflation, etc. So he's made it. And what does he do? He spends his time walking around in nature and hanging out with animals. Pretty cool. He did what he loved for a living. So he became phenomenal at it because he loved it enough to go deep within it. So for me, for example, I was in the coaching space, but I wasn't doing what I loved, which was speaking. I love speaking. I love doing this podcast. This is what I really love to do. I'm doing what I love this moment. It's a Sunday, by the way. It's 3:00 on a Sunday, and I'm doing this podcasting because I absolutely love this. And when I was running my business, there were things within the business that I really loved and huge aspects of it that I didn't like at all. And I didn't give myself much time to do what I loved because it wasn't going to make as much short-term cash flow. And I was like, I'm just going to smash the finances, get myself in this really good position. Then in the future, I'll do what I love. And it was like, I'm going to get to 100 mil first in my business or 500 mil, like Tony Robbins has done. And then I'm going to start doing my big events around the world that are personal development focused because I loved personal development so much more than business in terms of what I taught. Now, right now, I can make money really easily and quickly if I from a skills perspective, I've got the skills to make money quickly and easily selling business coaching, but I don't really, because it's not my absolute genius zone. I'm pretty good at it, but it's not my genius zone. It's my zone of excellence. And so it's unsustainable. So what happened for me, I got adrenal fatigue running that business because I was getting exhausted, not just from working hard, but working hard doing things I didn't enjoy. I was being a CEO role, a manager role, and I was doing all these things I didn't even like in the business. I wasn't giving myself permission to do the things that light me up. Now I do. Now I speak. I speak at community events and stuff for free all the time, and it lights me up. And I just get better and better at my craft. And this is the key. The third step to financial freedom is to do what you love for a living. Because when you make something that you are passionate about, your life's work, the amount of money that you make from it amplifies more and more over time. So if you love gardening and you're just an entry-level gardener doing labor work, you might make 30 grand a year. But if you're a phenomenal gardener that's an expert on all the plants and you mentor other gardeners, or you have a landscaping business that builds up, you're really good at it, you'll make more over time because your wisdom gets valued more. So you might end up making $120,000 as a gardener, and you can build on from there. If you are like for me, coaching and speaking, I love doing this. So I'm just going to get better and better and better. And I already do pretty solid, but I'm going to keep making more money because I'm going to keep getting better at speaking. My brand's going to build. The podcast will grow inevitably because I'll keep showing up because I really love it. I really love this, and I'm going to keep doing it, and it's going to keep magnifying and magnifying and magnifying. But in the past, I hit a point of burnout because I was doing stuff that I didn't enjoy. That wasn't a very good financial move because I ended up burning out. I actually got in a lot of tax debt as well, which was some karma from trying to grow so fast from a place of deep insecurity to try to meet all. It bit me in the end. So if you actually want to make a lot of money, you better start your dreams now. You better start them now because it is going to take time to build up and get a good financial return from it. But long term, if your goal is to financial freedom, and let's say you need 5 mil to get to that point, are you going to get to 5 mil quicker smashing yourself in a real estate job as a real estate agent or a sales job? Just smashing that, doing cold calls all day, every day, appointment setting all day, every day, closing all day, every day for years. You'll burn out in 3 or 4 years. You're not going to make 5 mil in that time because you're going to, a lot of that's going to be training and development. And by the time you get good, you're going to be exhausted. And then you're actually going to pivot into what you love doing. And whatever it is, you can make a living doing it. You can start a YouTube channel, build it up. It might take you 5, 7, 8 years to build it up. But if you start now, it'll take you 7, 8 years. If you pursue a banking job because you want to make money and you do that for 10 years and get comfortable in it, then it's going to take you 18 years to start getting a great return from your soft toy review business on YouTube or whatever it is. So you may as well start now. And the sooner you start, the sooner you're going to hit your financial freedom point and start earning more from it. It doesn't matter what it is. You're going to get better and better and better at it over time. You're going to make more and more over time. Unless it's something that's like age dependent, like you want to become a professional fighter and you're 40 years old. It's not going to get better over time. It's going to get worse. But you could get into fighting now and start understanding all the techniques and get involved and join another gym and get a job and study it and become an expert in it, and then open your own fighting gym and then train other people. You could start that now and then get good at it over time and get better and better and better. And that will amplify because your expertise will grow. People will value you more. You'll get more people to your gym. Your business will grow and you'll make more money over time and you'll love doing it. So do what you love for a living. If the goal is to get to 5 mil, you'll get there faster by doing what you love for a living, even though the short term living within your means might look a little bit less exciting. But you're going to be doing what you love now, which means you're going to have the opportunity to be fulfilled now. And then the lux, the financial freedom, the money will come over time. But patience is power with this. Patience is power. If you don't do what you love for a living, you will exhaust yourself and inevitably change careers and have to start the career you actually love from scratch in the future. And so it's actually going to take you longer to getting a good return from doing what you love. Okay? So that doesn't mean quit your job. You stay in your job, start your passion on the side, and maybe it's quit your job, but you be grateful for the money you have, save it piece by piece, live within your means, but do what you love for a living. So that's point 3. Point number 4 is, as you're saving money, invest it. Start investing safely. Invest in property. Like I remember there was this real estate. I'm just going to have a little drink here for a sec. There was a real estate investing company in Australia where there were 2 experts in it. One guy had, I think, 108 or 250 properties, and he was in his mid-30s. And another guy was also around that age and had like 70 properties, right? So these guys knew what they were doing. And I paid them just for a webinar. I think it was like $500 to jump on a webinar. And I just said, yo, I'm a young entrepreneur. What advice would you give me around property? And they said, just start. I was hoping for some hack. Go in this suburb and do this type of investment. And this is what you got to look for. But they just said, it doesn't really matter what you do. Just get in the game. Because if it takes you 2 extra years to buy something, the amount that your property would have increased in value over those 2 years would probably overcome and be more significant than any little short-term market shifts or some crazy deal that you get. And I listened to that and got some really great returns from the property that I invested in. So that was awesome. So just start investing. Just put your money, whether you're investing in index funds, whether you're investing in shares, whether you're investing in gold or silver. I invest a bit in that. Or whether you invest in property. Just start putting money into safe investments. You might think, oh, it's going to be a real stretch to invest in that. Take on board the stretch because you'll make it work. You always make everything work. But if you're kind of dithering around and taking your time with it and you're not getting into any game and the money's sitting there, number one, you probably have a greater chance of spending the money if it's sitting around. And number 2, you've got no kind of natural, healthy incentive to take responsibility for what it is that you're investing in. It's just a lot. You can just start now. You're like, well, but I've only got $20,000. Cool. Buy $10,000 of gold, $10,000 of silver, and you're in the game. Start, right? You may go backwards, you may go forwards a little bit, but long term, you'll go forward. But here I said, start investing in safe investments, reliable investments, low risk investments, not crypto, right? As your primary base. You could do it, you could get lucky, but just the amount of stories of people that I know. I've invested in crypto trying to get quick wins twice and I've lost 20 grand, which, whatever, not the end of the world, but definitely learned from it. Just trying to skip ahead because I wasn't patient and it cost me over the years. So start investing. Start now. You got $100. Get onto a property investing website. Get onto a share. Like, just open a trading account and just buy some shares. Yeah, or go buy some gold. Get it going. Get it started. Because if you're spending less money than you make, you're going to have excess money there. You're going to have some savings. Grab the savings and invest it. Right? And here's the thing, just some investment advice here without giving specific investment advice. But if you want to go and get advice on investing, most investing experts are people that make money by getting you to invest in their investment strategy. So you go see a crypto person that's an expert and you look up Crypto Experts Melbourne. Then the website that you go to is going to make money based on taking a percentage of your money for investing it for you. If you go to working with a financial advisor, they're going to invest. They're going to get you to invest in, like, they're going to take a percentage of the return. Just take a percentage of your money to invest your money in shares or in index funds or some kind of funds, hedge funds. So you're actually going to give them money if you invest in their strategy. You go to a property investor, they're going to make money by helping you source properties. So most of the time, to try to find someone to give you investment advice is difficult because the people you go to have a vested interest in you using their strategy, their industry. It's difficult to actually go to someone and get broad investment advice where someone can say, well, I've had this experience with shares, this investment experience in property, this is my experience of crypto. I've been watching all these spaces for 30 years. I know what I'm doing in all of them. And the advantage of this one is this one is this one's this. They're usually just like, hey, I'm happy to talk to you about this type of property investment because if I want you to do it because I can make money if you do it. So it's difficult to get pure advice on investing. The best way to do it is reading books. So start with like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and then do some research on the different areas that you're feeling called to invest in, industries you're feeling called to invest in, and then read books on them. And you'll get amazing advice from those books. And then you can use that and just dig into a strategy that feels aligned for you, an investment category that feels aligned for you, and go from there. But just start investing. Sooner the better. Just get in the game because then it's gonna make it fun, right? See, I'm not attached to money because I'm already, like, I don't live on a huge amount of expenses. I make double the amount of money passively than I even spend each year on my expenses, my basic expenses. My passive income is double what I even spend a year. I don't even need to spend that much money. I don't even need to make that much money. I'm already super comfortable. I've got everything that I need. My ability to enjoy life is not hinging on how much money I have. It's based on my capacity to avoid addiction and do the things that light me up and have the courage to lean into my spiritual practices and courage to be open and authentic and vulnerable with friendships and lean in so I can create the business that I love running most. That's what determines my fulfillment. But I still like investing because I find it really fun. It's exciting. It's fun. And it does give options. And I will need more and more money if I want to have a family. So there is a lot that if you start investing and you gamify the process, it's fun. It's fun. And you're going to get started and it'll inspire you to want to be smarter with your spending so that you can take the excess money you have at the end of the month when you get paid or whatever and start putting it into things. You know, I was getting super excited last year, or maybe earlier this year, on gold and silver. And I was just taking all the excess money that I had and I was just investing it into gold and silver. And it was really fun. It was gamifying it for me. And not that it made any difference to my fulfillment if I made money or lost money, but it was fun. And so get in the game. That's point number 4. Let's go to point number 5. This is the big point of this is the most valuable point. I'm just going to make the call. Financial freedom. How did I create financial freedom? Right? I created financial freedom because I was free from the need to be financially well off, to have my best fucking life. Free from it. Financial freedom means you're free financially. Now, if you are all desperate to get the money and have to make the money and it's constricting you and overwhelming you and you're stressed about it, that doesn't strike me as very free. That seems pretty caged up. And that doesn't feel like financial freedom. Financial freedom to me means that I'm not ruled by my need for finances. So you want to have free, people talk about the journey of financial freedom. And it's like, you don't look very free. If you look at most financial advisors and investment gurus, they're so owned and desperate to continue to save money, have more money, buy more houses, have cool cars, have people like them essentially. That they're coming from so much stress, insecurity, and fear that they don't even look after themselves. And you can see, because most of them are unhealthy looking, overweight, and that is coming from a place of they're not loving themselves enough to prioritize what's going to be most fulfilling in their life. They're attached to people liking them, attached to having a certain amount of money so they can look a certain way so people like them. And if they're attached to that, that means they're not feeling love within themselves without the extra investments, without the extra money, right? Which means that they don't love themselves a huge amount, which means that they don't make healthy choices in their life, which is why you can see that imprint in the way that they physically look. They don't look vital. They look overweight, unhealthy, tired, exhausted. And that is a reflection of the fact that insecurity is driving them on their financial journey. They're attached and they're in fear. They're around fear around money. So that's not financial freedom. Even if they tick the financial freedom box of the fact that they're passively free now financially, they're still owned by the disease. They're still owned by the addiction. And I'm speaking from experience here because I'm telling you, when I was making several millions of dollars a year, I felt poor. I felt like I was way behind where I should be. I was constantly spending all this money on vanity metrics so I could walk into a room of people and be looked at as someone that was successful. And so I was always trying to prove myself. That's trapped. That's not freedom. That's being trapped. That is being trapped. Whereas now I feel free. I feel free not needing to spend money. I get into my Volkswagen hatchback car and I feel free. When I got into my Mercedes, looking around, is anyone seeing me? Do people like me? Am I being recognized? I didn't feel free. I felt insecure. So financial freedom can only be obtained if you're not attached to it. Because if not, it's actually not freedom. So if you're attached to getting to a point where your passive income that comes from your investments is more than your expenses, and you're attached to that, then you're not actually free. It's owning you. It's ruling you. It's taking your energy. You're not able to give yourself permission to live your best life where you are now because it's hijacking your validation. So that is not financial freedom. It is impossible to have financial freedom unless you feel and know the truth, which is that where you are right now in your life has the same potential for fulfillment than any point in your future. I'm going to say that again. If you don't honor the truth that your current present moment listening to this podcast right now is as fulfilling, has the opportunity and potential to be as fulfilling as your life will ever be, aka it's never getting better than this. If you think that when you have financial freedom, your life's going to be better, you're not free. And you're never going to be. If you keep believing that, you're never going to be free because you think that your future is going to be better than now, which means you don't extract the goodness from now, which means you're owned by this fantasy. You're owned by the fantasy. You are put to work by this fantasy. So if you don't actually let it go, this whole podcast is how did I become financially free? Because I don't care about finances. So it's easy to make investment decisions. It's easy to save money because I ain't attached. Sure, I like it. It's fun. I love playing game. I've got a competitive ego and nature. And I take my awareness and integrate that with the part of me that loves a challenge. I find it fun to invest. I find it fun to build my wealth. I'm excited. I want more money. I like it. But I'm not attached to it. And as that famous Matthew McConaughey quote says, you can have anything you want in life as long as you don't need it. And in this case, it's still possible to become technically financially free, but you're actually going to be feeling trapped in the body in your experience of life, you're going to be feeling trapped unless you're not attached to being financially free. Yeah. So let's summarize this whole game here, because that's the way to view it. It's a game. If you see it as a game, you have the opportunity to become financially free, right? Step number one is to realize, I can tell you, I've had $4 million of income and feeling lonely, depressed, and low. Money didn't make me happy. Okay. Now I'm at a point where I've actually got financial freedom, where my investments give me more money than my expenses, so I don't have to work at all. Doesn't change the quality of my life at all, right? Because I still do what I love. And because I've been giving myself permission to do what I love, which is speaking, for enough time now, that gives me enough money to easily have enough money to do what I love, even if I had no investment income coming in. I make way more money than I need on a yearly basis to have the most epic life. Like I said, my big 30-day trip next year is going to cost me $4, maybe $5,000 to Europe, right? I don't need to make $1 million in a year when my biggest expense and trip of the year is going to cost me $4,000 or $5,000. I can make 40 grand and still have the best freaking year ever, right? So trust me when I say that I'm speaking from experience with the wisdom that I'm sharing in this podcast. The 5 steps are: spend less money than what you actually make. Keep some, save your money. And to do that, you can't waste money being insecure. You can't spend money on things you don't even really care about in your heart just because you hope other people like you. I need to get these shoes. I need to get this car. I need to live in this house, or else people are going to think I'm some loser. How embarrassing. If you're embarrassed to not do certain financial decisions that you don't even want in your heart, financial freedom is going to be a long, long, long time ahead. And it's probably never going to come. That's why most people live paycheck to paycheck. You got to learn to live simply. Learn to live simply, to feel full without much. You don't need much to be fulfilled. Meditation is one of the most fulfilling things about my life, and it's free. I'm just closing my eyes. It costs me nothing, right? So going into nature is also free in most cases. So they're 2 really fulfilling things for me that are free, right? And when you do spend money on things that are really meaningful to you. Give yourself permission to spend money on the things that you really care about. If you love sport, you want good equipment for your sport, get it. If it's meaningful for you, go for it. If you love expressing the way that you dress, get the clothes, do it. But don't then get the car that you don't even care about. It's stupid. It's a waste of money. Point number 3 in the 5 steps to financial freedom summary. Do what you love for a living. And start as soon as you can, because you will be able to make more and more and more and more. I don't make $1 million a year right now, but I will. I'll easily get to $1 million a year in my being a speaker. Why? Because I'm just going to become more and more valuable over time, right? And I love it. So I'm going to put in the time. There'll be a fair mutual exchange, which will lead to a point where I make over $1 million a year. Eckhart Tolle has a net worth of $85 million, around that. Eckhart Tolle, that does not need money to be happy. He's happy doing nothing. And then he has everything financially, which he does not need. So do what you love, and you'll also get yourself to a strong financial position long term. But if you keep doing things you don't like to try to make money, you won't sustain them. You'll have to keep starting again. So start the thing you actually want to do. You're going to have endurance in that space, and you're going to build up your capacity to make money in it, because you're just going to get better and better over time. And that'll be your life's work, where you'll give the most value to the world and you will make money back. Point number 4, start investing now. Get in the game. Whatever money you have, if you got $500K in the account, start putting it out there. Buy some property. Get in the game, right? In safe investments, not just put $500K in crypto in safe investments, more low risk investments like index funds, gold and silver, property. These are basic investment types. Yeah. Stocks, shares, bonds. Basic. Start investing now. Don't look for a quick hit, get rich quick, high risk, high reward. Just put it into something. Get in the game. Start building your returns. Okay. And you know what? I haven't even said this whole time, but you can go online and Google Robert Kiyosaki's board game, which is called Cash Flow. So you go Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, cash flow game online, and just play it like 10 times. Play the online game 10 times, and it will teach you what good investing looks like. Yeah. And lastly, don't let money rule you. If you are desperately trying to get financial freedom, you're already trapped. If you just go, cool, it's a bonus. Because if you're doing what you love, let's say you're making $80,000 a year and your expenses are $60,000 a year and you're saving 20 grand a year, what's the problem there? If you never got to a point of financial freedom, who cares? Like, what's going to happen? Someone that gets to, like, I've got financial freedom at the moment. Now, what if it all got taken away? My life's not going to get any worse. It's not going to change at all. I'm still going to do exactly what I'm doing right now. It literally is not changing the quality of my life. It's just a fun little thing I do, right? It is literally. So if you're letting your need for money control you, you're not free. And so you're never going to have financial freedom. Have it as a fun, nice to have. And then do what you love for a living. Learn to love life simply. And then put your money inshore to the things that are really meaningful to you. But don't just go spraying it out there for no reason. Be smart with it. Yeah? Live within your means. Spend less than you make. And that's how you get to financial freedom. So awesome job tuning into this video. If you found it valuable, share it out there. Keep these principles dear to your heart for life. If you follow what I shared in this, you've got the best chance of getting to financial freedom, right? But it might take you 20 years. Who cares? You're not going to be more fulfilled when you get there. Trust me. I know lots of entrepreneurs. Let me say this before we finish. I have heaps of friends that are not just multi-millionaires, multi-tens of millionaires. Okay. And they're like, I've seen what that looks like. And some of them are way less, they're like more depressed because they thought that it was going to give them something. But that chasing, the insecurity and the fear that had them chasing that money, that insecurity and the fear underneath, the pain that was fueling that becomes more obvious when it's obtained because there's nothing to chase anymore. They have it. I've seen it with entrepreneur after entrepreneur after entrepreneur. They've sold their business. They sold it for 20 mil. They've got all this money now, more money than they'll need for the rest of their life. All the money in the world. And guess what? With all this money, they're feeling worse than they've ever felt before. So it ain't going to make you happy, right? It is not going to make you happy. And there's that stupid idea that where people that are addicted to money say, if you know, whoever say money doesn't make you happy doesn't have any. That's not true. I have heaps of money and I still don't think it makes me happy. Don't think it's the source of my fulfillment. Yeah. Might buy some thrills, but those thrills, where are they coming from? It's going to pendulum swing the exact opposite way. I go out and have this massive experience. Yeah, life's getting turned on now. Bring it. Let's go. And I'm super high. Next day, it's going to swing back and I'm going to be feeling low and depressed. So, Grant Cardone, definitely not tapping on fulfillment. Yeah. He's got some things that he loves to do. Good on him. I respect the capacity and the courage to endure and to have discipline and to express himself and to create things. But if you think money's going to make you happy, you're wrong. So take this on board, treat it as a game, enjoy the journey, do what you love for a living, and let's go, baby. Let's go. If you want to learn to actually have fulfillment, come to the Art of Courage workshop. Come along. If you got questions, hit me up with them. Sign up and it's going to change your life. I love you guys heaps, and I'll see you all in the next episode. Peace.